Hey guys. It has been a feat trying to get on this live, but I'm not going to hold you long. I just want to go over a few things. The first thing is that I'm changing the name from Midweek Snack to one more thing, and I thought about it. It's a follow up. A lot of times I will even talk about the live I will do on the next day on my unapologetic podcast. So, um, thank you for tuning into the podcast I did on yesterday evening with Angela Duncan and Angela Riley. It was Angela's show, Focus with Angela Duncan. And I'm just super excited. I'm just so super excited about everything. And it was a phenomenal success. Hey! And it was a phenomenal success. And I just really and truly thank you guys for watching and tuning in. She said it was one of her most successful shows. She said she didn't usually have that many views live. And the next day she may have a couple of, 100 or 200 more. But yesterday, like literally, we're almost at 500. And she's used to having around one something, two something. And so that is all God. And I thank God for my people who tune in to support me. So I want to get right into it. We talked about colorism a little bit on yesterday, and Arshila, the young lady who did it with me, said that she feels like we need to do a part 2. I totally agree. And I kind of stay tuned because I'm going to talk to my co-host probably soon because the next show, she is over. So I'm going to see what she wants to do. And then I don't know what I want to do. I know we're doing a fat shaming show in October. I think it's the first Tuesday in October. We're going to cover fat phobia and fat shaming. But I just wanted to come on briefly because you guys know that some unfortunate news has occurred in the last 24 hours. I just felt I wasn't going to do it, but I kept hearing God say, do it, talk about it. You got to talk about it. Cardi B and Offset are no longer a couple. Cardi B has officially filed, let me make sure, hold up. Cardi B has officially filed for divorce and separation from Offset, citing continuous abuse. And when I say abuse, I mean emotional abuse because cheating is a form of emotional abuse. He always had other women. He never stopped cheating from the time they were married. He always had other women. And I've seen some things on Twitter. I've seen some things on Facebook. And Naomi, you shared a post this morning that I wanted to share, but I was still like, I know how I feel about it, but I'm just like, I don't want nobody coming on this status or this share or this post because today is not the day. I'm trying to have a peaceful day. But I just keep hearing God say, it's time for the stand. It's time for the remnant. And the thing that the post said that stood out to me, and Margie, you even sent me an article about this, is that a lot of these people who are saying that's what she gets. She doesn't cook, she doesn't clean. She's talking about WAP. Hey, my love, that's my baby. She doesn't do any of the things that a wife should do, and that's why her husband keeps cheating on her. And the person just had a picture of John Gray. And just a few weeks ago, he got caught cheating again. And she cooked, clean, wear turtlenecks, and she still gets cheated on. So I just want to talk a little bit today about what makes a man cheat. And it's going to be a very long, complex dissertation of the subject, starting now. He wants to. He has no discipline. Now, being a part of an open relationship or polyamorous relationship, That's different. That is mutual understanding. But just like Naomi always states on her posts and statuses, and I love it. If you're a part of a polyamorous relationship or open relationship, all is truth and honesty. And you can't say, I'm a part of an open relationship, I'm a part of a polyamorous relationship, yeah, your partners don't know about your other partners. Like it's openness, honesty, and communication. And so if you're not a part of an open or polyamorous relationship and you just keep continuously bringing other people in, whether you're a male or female, or I should say a woman or man, you're just a cheater. You're a liar. And a lot of the people is so funny because I really want to title this The Myth About Unconditional Love. Exactly. Those that want to stray will stray. The myth of unconditional love is I get to do whatever I want to do and you still love me. That's a lie from the pit of hell. Because guess who has the ultimate unconditional love? Jesus Christ. He died for you. And he still want to send you to hell if you don't if you don't give your life to him. Now what salvation is, that's another hope. No, I hear God saying say it. Salvation doesn't mean you being perfect. Salvation doesn't mean you giving anything up. Salvation just means accepting God as your Lord or Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior. And the next steps after then is totally up to you and your Christ. My relationship with my God will be completely different from your relationship with your God. It's the same God, but different relationships. And I feel like we get it twisted when we want to impose what works for us in our relationship, in our relationships onto other people, because then it stops being relationship and starts being religion. And we don't want to have a religious experience with God. We want to have a spiritual relationship with God. I remember the first time that I was struggling with something, and God, I was telling God I didn't want to do this anymore, and I was that's exactly what I was about to make. I was telling God, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to change. I want to be different. And God said, okay, I got you. A few weeks later, temptation arose. And I was like, God, I'm so weak. And he was like, no, you're not. Just go do what you want to do and then come back and talk to me. And I was like, huh? That doesn't even make sense. And he kept repeating that. And I said, God, you don't understand. He was like, no, you don't understand my love for you. And I feel like a lot of people, we have this thought process that God only loves perfect people, or that we have to clean ourselves up before God will love us, or we have to clean ourselves up before God can use us or anoint us to do his will. Baby, let me help you. God anointed a jackass, a literal camel, jackass, donkey, to not camel, that's not the same thing, but a donkey to talk. It's in the book. Go to I don't know what chapter, I don't know which exact book it is, but it's in the book of the Bible. But it was a prophet, and he was in disobedience, and he was on this donkey, and the donkey just stopped and wouldn't go forward, and he kept hitting the donkey and cursing the donkey, and the donkey literally looked back at him and opened his mouth, and God allowed him to speak. Nigga, you don't see these angels, these swords right here in front of you? You about to die. If I keep going, they're gonna cut your head off. And I feel like if God could use a donkey, God could use anyone. And the thing about it is, we always love to talk about David. David was a man after God's own heart. And David was also a pedophile, an adulterer, a murderer, an idolater. How is he an idolater? Because he, in the time where kings go to war, David was at home. David was a king known for his battle strategies. And yet he was at home, and he was on top of his roof, and he saw a beautiful woman. I think she was a woman of color too, bathing. And he asked, who is this woman? And they said, it's your homeboy's wife. I just feel led to keep telling the story. So he sent for his homeboy's wife, then did the deed, then sent her away. A few weeks later, she comes back. Yo, I'm pregnant. And your homeboy at war. So he knows it's not his. So David sent for his homeboy and said, come on, chill, relax, eat some food, make love to your wife. And his homeboy was sleeping outside. He was like, David, you my boy. We at war. I can't be in here just fellowshipping with my wife and worshiping with my wife. Because he was focused. It was one mission. But they say one band, one sound. He knew where his heart was. And even though he loved his wife, he served David, who was the captain, the general, the king of God's army. And he was like, my brothers are in the field dying and fighting. How dare I go home and worship? David didn't have that mindset. It was his army. Well, it was the Lord's army that he was in command of. So David put his position as being a chosen vessel. And he laid it down because he never, what's the word? I don't want to say perfected. He never mastered saying no to WAP that wasn't his. And he had a lot of WAP. He had a whole harem, many wives and concubines. But he wanted his homeboy's WAP. And so when his homeboy didn't do the deed, David said, okay, this is what we're going to do. He sent word to his commanders in the field. Yo, put Uriah in the midst. I mean, in the front lines. And then somebody give a signal, and y'all fall back and let him die. His homeboy, to cover up his sin, because he was playing God instead of saying, God, I messed up. So just like Margie said, you can love God with all your heart and be after God's own heart and still not be perfect. So I said all that to say, I'm not here to demonize John Gray at all. I'm not here to demonize Offset. We all fall short. We all have sins. But I am here to check the people who will put John Gray on a pedestal and say, pray for him. And then turn right around and tell Cardi B she deserves to be cheated on because of who they perceive her to be. That's my only question, because like somebody said, unconditional love is not the same as blind love. I could unconditionally love you and never talk to you again. I could unconditionally love you but don't put up with your crap. Unconditional love means that my love for you does not change. It does not say my actions because of how you love me back won't. In order to give unconditional love, you oftentimes have to receive it. And perfect love not only casts out fear, but it does no harm. In 1 Corinthians 13, it was like, if you do all these magnificent feats, but you don't have love, if the love's not the driving force behind you doing these things, it's as a clanging cymbal, as a gong, just noise. So I just want to reiterate that if you want somebody to unconditionally love you, ask yourself, so what am I sacrificing for them? What am I giving up for them? What am I doing? Because unconditional love has no conditions. So you're not reciprocating or trying. I'm not gonna say that. You're not trying to get unconditional love, because unconditional love has no conditions. So nothing you can do can help it or grow it or make someone feel that way about you. But you can reciprocate it. And I can't continuously hurt someone. I can't continuously hurt someone and say I love them because they forgive me and they unconditionally love me. It was a discussion I was having with a young man on Twitter the other day, and he was talking about chivalry. And he was like, women, if for equality, chivalry has to go out the door. Like, no more men taking out the trash, washing your car, cutting the grass. Like, it has to be equal, right? And I was like, absolutely. I was like, if it means that women get to be seen as equals, I would absolutely cut some grass. I said, because the thing about it is, when I cook for my husband and I make him his plate, it's not because I'm a woman, he's a man, it's because I love him. I was like, so when you love someone, your actions dictate it, your actions show it, your actions prove it. So my question is, if you want unconditional love, are you capable of producing it yourself? Are you capable of giving your all to somebody, your complete all to someone, and expecting nothing in return? If you lie, cheat, steal, gamble, gossip, will you be okay to stay in a relationship where they lie, cheat, steal, gamble, and gossip about you and others? Or is it only that you want to receive unconditional love? Because if it is, that's a problem. And like I said, and I'm just going to end it with this, I'm going to pray for John Gray, and I'm going to pray for Offset, and I'm going to pray for both their wives, because if you've ever experienced a broken heart or betrayal on that level, and I do have to say this, I do believe that so many times we put homosexuality above adultery. And we'll sit in the church where we know the pastor going through the whole front row. But if we think somebody is homosexual in there, it's like, oh, you see them. And that should not be. Adultery is the only sin that you will commit that breaks a covenant. No other sin breaks a covenant. And my whole thing is, whether you believe homosexuality is wrong or adultery is okay, you're breaking a covenant with you and God, between that person and God. It's a three core covenant: you, your spouse, and God. We have to stop saying them and start looking at our own hearts. They don't want accountability. I love that, Rochelle. A lot of people who claim to want unconditional love but can't reciprocate it, they just want a pardon, a continue, someone who is very, whether you say submissive, and won't hold them accountable for their actions, and to still be there for them. And the thing about it is, I feel like a lot of men are women too, who are used to doing what they want in relationships. It's real hard to find someone like that nowadays because we just got too much going on. Like, I just can't be your emotional support dog, but you keep hurting me continuously. Cardi B could have any man she wants. She can cheat when nobody find out, or maybe they would, but she chose to just leave Offset and just like, I deserve better. So whether you are a Cardi B or someone who chooses to leave, and she didn't the first time, so, or someone like Avatar who wants to stay and work her marriage out, I'm praying for you, and there's no judgment. But we have to stop excusing, especially men in these situations, and literally putting the blame on a wife for being cheated on because of how we perceive her to be. And that's all I want to say. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next week on Unapologetic Podcast. God bless. I feel supposed to say something else. Bring it to me, Holy Ghost. I hear God is saying love. Enter a season of unconditional love for everyone. We're not judging the season. I feel led to say this. I was talking to a young woman the other day, and she was saying that she didn't believe, she's a Black woman who doesn't believe in the Black Lives Matter movement because they support LGBTQ rights. And she was like, as a Christian, you can't support an organization that speaks against what the Word of God says. And my answer to that was, homosexuals were in the Bible and they were part of Jesus' circle, right? And she was like, yes. She didn't say yes. She was like, we have to stop. We always say in love. Sometimes we use love to sugarcoat or to excuse people's behaviors. And my thought is, no, honey, love is the strongest element there is. It is the strongest element there is. The love of God can change anything. We as people think we have to add to it. So it's not my job to tell anyone they're right or they're wrong. I know what my word says, but my word says a lot about a lot of people. It talks about drunkards, idolaters, adulterers, pedophiles, fornicators, and y'all welcome them into the church every Sunday. And that's all I want to say. Choose to love people because God don't need you and your words and your condemnation and your conviction. He just needs your love. He needs you to be the best of love to everyone that you come across. And let me see what Margie was saying. I think Cardi is a great example. She tried, but she appears not to desire to take it. And I think, real talk, a lot of men are mad at that. I remember when she first said that she was going to divorce Offset initially, and so many rappers came out saying, give our boy another chance. And all I'm saying is I'm going to leave with this word. Why does she need to give your boy another chance? I want y'all to come out and tell your boy, stop cheating. Love you. God bless. Good night.